Hello everyone! Do you want to know if a servant is good enough to spend your hard-earned quartz on? Great, then you are in the right place. Allow me to give you the necessary information for it. You are here at the FGO Gacha Guide. Today's topic servant is the ultimate hikikomori, Jinako Carigiri. AKA, as she is a pseudo-servant borrowing the power from the Hindu deva of wisdom and intellect, Ganesh. We will be covering the points you can see on screen, but before we get into those, quick fun fact with Jinako. She is originally from Fate Extra Triple C as Karna's master in the Holy Grail War on the Moon. As a natural otaku hikikomori, though, she spent most of that Holy Grail War in her room playing video games like a true hero. Now, on to my opinion of her as a servant. In my personal opinion, Jinako is not good. She is a mix of support and selfish skills. Her damage output is very low, and the only thing she's really good for is being tanky, but she only has a single turn taunt to use that tankiness with. So let's go into how she came to be. So first off, her stats, Jinako is a 5-star Moon Cancer type servant, meaning that she is a super effective servant against Avengers and weak versus rulers. She has 9,166 attack at level 90. This is the lowest attack stat of any 5-star servant in the entire game. Her HP at 90 is 17,844, which is the highest HP stat of any 5-star. The fat jokes are really strong in this. Her hidden stats show that her NP gain per hit is a measly 0.35%. I am moving the background like a dummy. Grab Abby, there we go. A measly 0.35%. Absolutely abysmally low. One of the lowest in the entire game. Her cards are 1 quick card, 3 arts cards, and a single buster card in arts focused deck. She has 4 hits on the quick, 4 hits on the arts, 4 hits on the buster, and 5 hits on the extra. This is a pretty good hit count overall, though. That's very high, well above average for most servants. Her star weight, aka how easy it is to get stars onto her cards over other servants, is 51. This is very low. Her star creation rate is 14.5%, which is a little above average. Overall, her stats really come out to be a bit below average. The upside, being her tankiness, is very nice to have and all, but she has major downsides such as her extremely low attack and extremely low MP charge rate, which really get in the way of trying to make her work. Moving on to her deck and MP, as I said before, her deck is 1 quick card, 3 arts cards, and 1 buster card in arts-focused deck. Her noble phantasm, Ganesh Impact, oh human bullet, take it seriously from tomorrow, is an AoE arts NP with 3 hits, which will deal damage to all enemies, but before that, reduce all of their defense by 30% for 3 turns, grant Jinako herself invincibility for 1 turn, and finally recover her own HP by either 2,000, 3, 4, 5, or 6,000, depending on her overcharge. So, this MP is not great. It helps her be very tanky. It makes it very difficult for an opponent to kill Jinako in most situations. But it lacks the one thing that makes a tank worthwhile in FGO, and that is a taunt. Without a taunt attached to this MP is just kind of a selfish ability that tickles the enemies with very low damage. The defense down is nice to have as a good upside that you're happy to have, whether she's doing damage or not, because your other servants can take advantage of it. But otherwise, this is not a very impressive MP. It even only has 3 hits, so despite it being an arts NP, you can't really even loop it. Moving on, let's take a look at her passives. First off, she has Magic Resistance A for 20% more debuff resistance, Riding A for 10% higher quick performance, and Divinity B giving her 175 more damage. Overall, very poor passives that do very little to help her. Riding is usually a good passive, but she has a single quick card and a not very impressive ability to use it too often. Moving on, let's take a look at her skills. First off, we have Prosperous Business. This will charge the party's NP gauge between 10 to 20%. It will increase the party's attack for 3 turns by 10 to 20%. And finally, grant the party 5 critical star regeneration buff every turn for 3 turns. This is a fantastic skill. It's basically everything Helena Blavatsky's entire skill kit does in one skill. Really, really incredibly good skill that you would be happy to have on any servant. Alright, now let's get into the disappointing parts, shall we? Skill number 2 is called Severed Tusk. This will give her a 500% chance to draw attention of all enemies to self by 300% for 1 turn, so a taunt for 1 turn. It will give her a damage cut of 1,000 for that 1 turn. And finally, increase her own attack for 3 turns by 20 to 30%. Overall, this does decent things. The taunt and the damage cut work together to help her be very tanky, along with do her job of drawing attacks into her. The increased attack is nice to help her tickle enemies a little bit harder, I guess, but she really doesn't hurt. She has less attack stat than most 4-star servants in the game, let alone other 5 stars. Her focus shouldn't really be doing damage. If anything, that should increase the attack of her allies instead of herself. So really, that part kind of doesn't really make sense with what she's doing with the rest of her stats and everything. And the taunt only lasting 1 turn is kind of disappointing. You really want taunts to last more than just a single turn and then be on cooldown for 4 turns. Not great. And finally, her last skill, Vinaya's Strength. This will give 1 ally invincibility for 1 turn. This will increase their MP generation rate for 1 turn by 20 to 30%, and will seal their skills for 1 turn as a demerit. This is one of the worst skills I have ever seen in the game. I have no clue how they think this ability is okay to exist as it does. A single turn of invincibility, a single turn of very weak NP rate up, and it even costs the person you're buffing their skills if they haven't used them already. Obviously, it just means use your skills first if you're going to use them, but at the same time, the base things that it does, even if you take the demerit off, it's still a weak skill. The MP generation rate is incredibly low. 20 to 30% for 1 turn? For 1 turn, that's so low. And the invincibility for 1 turn is nice, but it's nothing special. So overall, a very poor skill. With these skills in her MP, you can see Jinako is kind of a mess. She's got a couple support skills, a couple of selfish skills. She's got some natural tools to tank, but instead of focusing on that, it sprinkles in some damage-dealing capabilities. Jinako suffers from being a master of nothing and being at best average at everything else except tanking. But she isn't given all the tools necessary to do the tank job like she should be. But if you want Jinako, what materials do you need to level her skills? Because, hey, people like Jinako if they played Triple C because she's a cool character. So let's take a look at the materials. Luckily, Jinako's material costs are extremely low. As a Moon Cancer, her costs are gems up until level 7, at which point she then takes on materials, which will be 8 Giant's Rings, 8 Bells, 9 Scarabs, and 9 Mirrors. So to max her out, on top of gems, all you're really going to need are 24 rings, 24 bells, 27 scarabs, and 27 mirrors. She's very, very easy to max out compared to many other servants out there. Pretty cheap. So how does Jinako stack up against her competition? Well, I've obviously already said it, but let's take a look. As a 5-star Moon Cancer AoE servant, her only real competition is Summer BB. As a 5-star tank, her main competitions that I would point out are MASH and Qinshi Huang. MASH is an honorary 5-star, and this is base MASH, not Orthodox MASH. Very important I point that out. So compared to Summer BB, Jinako is tankier, but that's about it. Summer BB has better support capabilities, better damage output herself, and is even able to spam her NP easier despite it being Buster compared to Jinako's Arts NP. When it comes to her tanking competition, base MASH has far better defense increasing capabilities and damage mitigation, along with it being AoE for her team. While she doesn't have healing for herself, she's able to make sure that she takes far less damage than Jinako will on an average hit. As for Qin Shi Huang, he has taunting every single time he MPs, he has better damage dealing capabilities, he has similar healing levels, and he also has a better class for the tank job, being a ruler. He takes reduced damage from almost every other class in the game, meaning he is 1,000% better than what Jinako is able to put out at a tank job. Jinako falls short on every front to her competition, and you'll be hard-pressed to find a reason to use her other than just liking Jinako. It's really unfortunate to see. So, if you do roll Jinako, what's your skill priority? First skill is the best one to start with, as it is an AoE MP charge and attack up for the team. Then her second skill, Taunt, so that she can gain a little damage and lower the cooldown on it. And finally, her third skill, which is just a tiny bit of MP generation rate increase and a cooldown reduction. So it's kind of lackluster to level. Overall, she has one good skill and two skills that are very meh at best. As for craft essences to equip her with, Jinako's kind of semi-support, semi-damage dealer tank, so if you want to support, I would suggest equipping her with something like the Fragments of 2030, as this will provide 8 or 10 star regeneration at max limit break per turn. If you want to do damage dealing with her, then I highly suggest equipping the Black Grail. It'll give a 60 or 80% at max limit break NP damage increase at the cost of only 500 health per turn, and Jinako doesn't matter for her, 500 health is nothing. And if you want her to tank really hard, I suggest increasing her defense with a equip like Iron Willed Training, which will give you 20% higher defense. So, what servant should we pair with Jinako? Oh look, Waver's here, what a surprise. He has 50% MP charge over his skills, defense up, attack up, crit up. He works with anyone, so he's on pretty much any list. Since Jinako is an arts-based servant, right now Tamamo no Mae is the premier arts support to join her, as she has MP damage up, major arts damage up, healing, and cooldown reduction. All fantastic thing. Also, she's also from Fate Extra, so they're besties from another universe already. High five. Now, eventually, about a year from now, Castoria is going to release, and she will then be the best art support servant to group with her. She comes with 50% MP charge, 30% MP generation up for 3 turns, a massive arts damage up, invincibility, and unpierceable invincibility. I can also suggest Assassin Emiya as specifically he has the ability to put Taunt onto Jinako to help her tank better, so kind of a little bit of a gimmick combination there. And finally, Karna. Why is Karna on this list? Because Jinako is Karna's master in Triple C, and she loves Karna like a father. So obviously you need to field them together as big father-daughter combo. So Too Long Didn't Watch. Jinako's not a good role. Jinako is bad. She's in dire need of buffs. She's a weird mix of semi-support, semi-damage, and tank. Her skills have poor focus. She doesn't excel at anything. Her only really redeeming quality is her large health pool and healing, but in a truly hard fight, that doesn't matter that much, because enemies will crit hard enough to kill her in 1 or 2 hits, since she has no defense gain for herself. Really just kind of lacks consistent taunts to help her with the fights that she would be good for. So, if you do need a good reason to roll for her, very simply, she'll play games with you. She will play games with you and offer lap pillows, and Jinako is a former world champion at video games. So if you enjoyed this video, check out my Twitch channel and all that. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and good luck on your rolls, everyone. I hope you get what you're looking for.